I, female 27, live with my parents. I have a job and I've been helping them by paying rent and buying groceries. My brother's married and has 2 children, a toddler and a newborn. He recently lost his job and has asked my parents if he can move back in until he's back on his feet. My parents told me I would need to move out of the basement suite and into my mom's small hobby room while my brother and his family stayed with them. I disagreed, and they said it was their house and their rules. I don't own a lot of stuff. Everything in the suite belongs to them. I don't even own my own bed. I packed up my clothes and laptop and went to work as usual. I work out of town for 14 days, and then I get 7 days off. While at work, I booked an all-inclusive for my week off. It cost me less than rent and food at my parents' house. I told my parents my plans, and they were cool with it. I started getting texts a few days ago asking where my rent and grocery money was. I said that I moved out, that if I wasn't living and eating there, I wouldn't be giving them money. They got really upset because they were counting on that money to help support my brother. They said that I moved out without giving notice. I said they literally gave away my living space and that I didn't owe them anything if I wasn't there. I asked them how much they were charging my brother. I was giving them $1,800 a month for the basement suite rent and food, and I was only home for a maximum of 14 days a month, usually less. My brother called me to say I was an idiot for not helping him out. I pointed out that he hadn't sent our parents money when he was employed. He said he had a family to support and needed his money. He said if I returned, he and his family would move upstairs and I could have my space back. I had actually done the math though. I can stay at an all-inclusives, which covers my room, maid service, food, alcohol, and entertainment for 2/3 of what I was paying my folks. And I don't have to live through Edmonton's winters when I'm not working. I sent my parents $500 to help them with groceries, and then I went back to the beach. My parents, my brother, his wife, and a fair few of my other relatives are saying that I'm an idiot for abandoning them in a time of need. I think I shouldn't have to pay anything if I'm not there. So, am I the idiot for moving out after my parents told me to give my space to my brother and his family? Not the idiot. Your parents made you pay $1,800 for a room in Edmonton, and you were only there for 2 weeks? Your family is taking advantage of you. You also gave them $500, so don't feel bad for leaving and don't look back. Lord, tell me you're the scapegoat without telling me you're the scapegoat. There was no communication, no family meeting, no decision together. They decided unilaterally to evict you from the space you were living in to support your brother without any conversation and expected you to take it. I think there's nothing wrong with helping your parents, so I wouldn't necessarily say your old rent was a problem, but it's crazy that they would kick you out and expect the rent and grocery money to remain unchanged. Honestly, it's healthier for you to be on your own anyway. $1,800 for 2 weeks is overcharging for a basement suite. OP's parents overcharged her rent. Then they kicked her to a small room to accommodate their son and expected her to grin and bear it. I'm pretty sure they've never heard the term, "don't bite the hand that feeds you." In this case, they mauled the hand that fed them. Yep, exactly. That's what the family wanted. Free, easy $1,800 and the ability to boss and shove OP wherever they wanted. Don't forget about the babysitting. Her parents raised her and her brother. Sister-in-law is exhausted and needs help on demand. OP, you didn't agree to subsidize your entire family on your salary while you stayed in a tiny hobby room and babysit nibblings. Food too? That's just extra ridiculous. Good for you on moving out and getting way better all-inclusive, warmer accommodation with a few margaritas thrown in. So here's the down low. My 28 female, fiance 27 male, and I met during our sophomore year of college and started dating post-grad. We've been together for 2 years. My fiance was not close with his family growing up at all. In the 2 years we've been dating, I've only met his parents 3 times. That doesn't bother me. Like I said, he has a lot of resentment due to his upbringing and just doesn't particularly like spending much time with them. Nothing terrible happened to him on their part, but outside of his basic needs being taken care of, there was little emotional support. My fiancé was given a terminal diagnosis a few months ago with a 2-year life expectancy. Treatments are not an option, so we're just living life to the fullest. After we learned of his illness, he and his family have gotten a bit closer and that they see each other more often. His family, very, very wealthy, gifted us our honeymoon as our wedding gift. My husband and I chose a relaxing resort vacation and to go snorkeling together, one last bougie trip for our bucket list. But his parents also chose the honeymoon dates without asking us. So they decided to book the trip so that his birthday was during it. Then they said they wanted to spend his last birthday with him, so they'll also join us. They got their own suite at the resort, and both of his siblings got rooms there too. Don't get me wrong, I am really grateful that they're gifting us this experience, but I'm annoyed they deliberately made it where they could conveniently join our honeymoon. I know he's sick, and I know they want to spend time with him. My fiancé won't say anything to them because he doesn't want to fight with anyone during his final time here, which I understand. I think I just wish they could have booked a separate trip for the family to go on rather than during our honeymoon, a time that we could have spent together alone, which honestly, we rarely get these days. Between hospital visits and seeing friends and checking off things he wants to experience, we're pretty busy. As I mentioned earlier, money's not an issue, and this could have easily been made into a separate trip, but they chose to make the trip during his birthday, so they had an excuse to join in. When they told us they were coming on the trip, I said that was a little strange. Now they're mad at me for not understanding how important it is for them to spend my fiancé's birthday with him. The entire family thinks that I'm wrong for being upset about this. His parents have said I'll barely see them, so I shouldn't be upset. But we're all staying in the same resort, with rooms right next to each other. So am I the idiot for telling my in-laws that it's weird that they're coming on our honeymoon with us? I'm sorry to hear about your partner's diagnosis. That said, if your partner's family's paying for the trip, you don't get to dictate the terms of the trip, as with any other gift. I get wanting an actual honeymoon trip, but again, it doesn't have to be this trip, so I wouldn't push that point. Hopefully you can all give each other some grace in a really sad circumstance. Call it his birthday trip, book a honeymoon somewhere else before or after this trip, and pick something you can pay for yourselves. He's terminally ill. There's no guarantee of how much time he'll have left, particularly how much time outside of a hospital he'll have left. He could not have the physical ability and stamina for a real family-free honeymoon after this one. What does your fiancé want? If he wants them there, I'm sorry, OP, but the man who was dying gets the final say. No idiots here. This situation is not the typical honeymoon situation. I think it's understandable that you're annoyed, but it's also understandable that his family would want to make some great memories with him before they lose him. The worst thing that could happen would be for your husband to have to witness you and your family fight over him, and how distressing that would be for him. Those aren't the kind of memories anyone wants to be making. I wish you and your fiancé the best. I've been seeing Jack for 2 years now, but we live separately due to the kids, and I just want to make sure this is 100% all in before uprooting them. I have 2 sons, young teen twins, and 1 daughter, tween. He has 1 daughter, a young teen. We do weekend stays together twice a month so far, and honestly, there's never been any significant issues. The girls have gotten into a few petty arguments, but other than that, no significant problems. I spend around $1,000 a month on food that covers me and my kids, plus Jack and his daughter, for the 2 monthly visits. I do a lot of meal prep and couponing. Last month, my mother asked my kids and me to go to her place in Louisiana to help her move out of her home and into a 50-plus community. It made me feel more comfortable to have my house occupied in my absence to keep the dehumidifiers and everything running. Huge moisture issues, and I don't want anything to mold or rust. So I asked Jack if he and his daughter wanted to stay at my place for 2 weeks in our absence to keep everything running smoothly. I gave it a 2-week time frame, but was unsure of how long it would actually take. I knew the drive alone would be 2 days there and 2 days back. He agreed. I did my monthly shop before leaving and spent $1,092. I told them they could have some of my food when we were gone, so maybe this is my fault. Anyway, we got back 2 days ago, 4 days before the 2-week mark, and found my house practically in ruin. Dirty dishes on the counters and table, dirty clothes throughout the living room and bedrooms, mine and my daughter's where they slept. I keep my house clean, so this caused a lot of panic on my end. I grew up in a hoarder house, so I take pride in a clean house. But the one thing that truly tipped me over the edge was finding that they went through at least 90% of the food that I bought before leaving in less than 2 weeks. We were left with a single pack of hamburgers, all the veggies, and a few boxes of pasta. Jack started scrambling when we entered the home, saying, "Sorry, I was going to clean before you got back, but I didn't expect you so soon." I just gave him a hushed, "Please leave." He and his daughter left, but after giving it some thought, I told him he had to reimburse us for the $1,000 worth of food that he and his daughter ate. I told them their intake was repulsive. I said he could have some, not eat everything in the house and leave us with nothing. He said that he had allowed his kid to have her friends over, and they are a lot, but he shouldn't have to give me $1,000, given that I told them they could eat the food, that I have more than enough money, true, and he doesn't, also true. I still want to be reimbursed, however, and yes, we split up. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Not only did they trash your home, he allowed his daughter to have friends, not just one, without asking you. You just got a good glimpse of what your future looks like if you live with this man and his daughter. He is responsible for the grocery bill. Send him the bill. Remind him that he allowed his daughter and friends to consume all of your food, so he should replace it. You don't deserve it, and neither do your kids. That's what confuses me. In what world does a guest invite other guests? I could maybe understand if the daughter was old enough to be in a group project and the project partners came over for a couple of hours. That I can almost see. But even that feels like broken boundaries to me. Darling, what does this mooch even bring to the table? What they did wasn't house sitting. Did you check to see if the dehumidifier was even dumped? Everyone's the idiot here. When someone is house sitting for you, it is customary to provide them with some food. However, that does not include feeding people for a party. Asking him to pay the total $1,000 is too big of an ask. He's also an idiot for letting the house get untidy, but that doesn't really affect whether he owes you the full $1,000. Also, I don't understand why you would do your monthly shopping before leaving on a 2-week trip. That makes no sense whatsoever. Update. The one dehumidifier in the bedroom hasn't been dumped, but the one in the bathroom and living space was. This may make me sound bad, but I wouldn't consider him house-sitting as doing me any favors. All he had to do was dump out the dehumidifier when it got full. I could have asked my neighbor to do that for $200. He and his daughter live in a small apartment, and coming to my house feels like a vacation to them. Their words, not mine. I have a 2-story home on the beach with 6 bedrooms, a hot tub, a game room, cable, and high-speed internet. They were essentially getting a free vacation, and the only thing they had to do was dump the dehumidifier once a day. I more or less asked for the $1,000 based on principle alone. I don't expect him to give me the money, but since he didn't understand my viewpoint on how it was unacceptable, I asked him for the $1,000 so he could open his eyes and understand how big of a deal it truly was. I did the big shop before leaving because I had work obligations scheduled for when I returned, and going out and doing a big shop in the middle of 4 showings and mandatory seminars would have been a nightmare. I didn't buy any fridge stuff outside of what I knew they would eat. Everything I bought was non-perishables, boxed dinners, and meat for the freezer. I didn't leave him over the food. I left him because after I tried explaining why this was wrong of him, he accused me of throwing my privilege and money in his face, knowing he's not as financially stable as me, and making him and his daughter feel bad for doing nothing wrong. I have never thrown my money in his face, never asked him for anything, and have paid for everything in the past 2 years because he couldn't. Helped him with multiple bills and things his daughter needed, without question. So he made me feel stupid, and I won't tolerate it. My parents named me Robin, teen male, and my sister Sky, 18. Our grandparents hate my name. They don't say much about my sister's name, other than that it's a very new age for them, and classic names are way better. But ever since I was young, they've brought up that my name is a girl's name, and traditionally, it has always been used more for girls. There were times they tried to convince me to go by my middle name, Alexander, or would try to make me believe kids would bully me, or were bullying me already, and I was just too naive to notice. My parents would tell them to stop, and we took a 4-year break from them when I was in middle school. But even with that and their apologizing, they haven't stopped saying it. A few months ago, I researched the name and saw that Robin was used way more for guys than girls in past centuries. It seems like it was originally just a guy's name, but that could be a little off. Now it's totally suitable for either, but more girls have the name. They brought up my name again, and I showed them the stuff I printed off the internet since they like to read paper and not screens. They dismissed it all as being misleading and said only girls had nature-type names back in the day, and all of them leaned more feminine. They told me then that Robin would get me mistaken for a girl a lot more in the future, and I would notice it more in my professional life. So why don't I start using Alexander or pick another actual boy's name? I told them they could just call me Rob if Robin bothers them so much. My sister told them to think of Robin Williams too. They said Rob would only work if my real name were Robert, and all sorts of other BS. And then they told me to accept that Robin is a girl's name and do myself the favor my parents refused to do for me. I told them they were stupid for bringing it up so often and refusing to believe the facts I had shown them. I said Robin suits both, and I'm sick and tired of them telling me I have a girl's name. My grandparents lost their minds and told my parents, who weren't upset with me, but the extended family said I should have kept calm like always. Am I the idiot? Huh? I never knew Robin Hood was a woman. Thank your grandparents for enlightening me. Robin Williams, Robin Gibb, Robin Thicke. All women? Good Lord, your grandparents might have a stroke when they hear about Batman's male sidekick. Yep, you just weren't paying attention, not to mention Robin Hood. But then again, we're all missing the bigger picture and can't see that they're all girls. OP, you are not the idiot. Sending you love and strength. And I think your name is great. I know plenty of Robins of both genders, and they're all good people. You're a teen. If you were going to get bullied by anyone other than them about your name, surely it would have happened by now, LOL. Since you seem perfectly fine with it, I'm guessing you didn't get what they expected. Just more fuel for your fight. Their predictions literally never happened, but I think you should stop reacting to the nonsense from now on. Just walk away, ignore it, or refuse to talk about it. This sounds exhausting, and I don't think they'll ever truly accept it.